Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boakai, President of the Republic of Liberia. And to make sense of the address, we've invited Presidential Press Secretary, Madam Kula Fofana. We want to inform you that this interview is being relayed by a host of other community radio stations across the country. We are live on LNTV Liberia Facebook page, live, and also on the Executive Mansion, the official Executive Mansion Facebook page, so you can follow us as well. On this World Radio Day, Madam Kula Fofana, I'd like to say good morning and happy World Radio Day to you.
Good morning, Pavle, my dear brother, and thank you and happy World Radio Day to all of you journalists, journalists practicing, those retired, those still in the background doing freelancing. I just want to say happy World Radio Day.
Thank you very much. I mean, when you look at radio and the importance of radio, what can you say?
Well, I think for many, many years, radio have been a very important medium in which our people receive information. And for the most part, even in Liberia today as we speak, despite the emergence of the online platforms and internet, and other forms of how people receive information, but radio up to today remains one of the highest modes in which our people receive information. And for some of us who've been around this space for quite some time, we've also been very interested, in the whole concept of information dissemination and information sharing. As you know, my background is in mass communications. Even before that, before we even completed our first degree, we were involved with the broadcasting. We produced programs. So I remember back then we used to be on Star Radio, producing a program called Gender Matters. Then it was only radio. We also had Let's Talk About It with Entimiata. It used to be on different radio stations. And then I used to be also on Unreal Radio. At the time, it was Unreal Radio. Let's Talk About Sex, radio program that promotes reproductive health and rights for young people. So radio for a long time has been a very important tool that people receive information.
But people argue that it's been ravaged by the emergence of the social media and all that.
I disagree.
Would it ever be ravaged?
I disagree. It's never going to be, especially looking at the context in which we find ourselves. We live in a country where access to information is still, even with the emergence of social media and all this non-traditional media, I mean, it still is one of the best mode or one of the fastest mode in which people are receiving information across the country. For example, I mean, what social media and other internet platform does, it connects people globally in other parts of the world, people with access to internet. But as we speak, there's still large population of people who do not have access to internet. And for example, you go to the counties, of Lofa, for example, Nimba, I mean, Grand Gida, in the remote part, even Grand Cape Town, the remote part of our country, up to now, even the telecommunication is not there. But people still have access to these little radio that they receive information, as is. So it still is the number one, because if you look at the entire world, access to internet or internet connectivity or telecommunication is not far-reaching. There are many places, there are many communities that people do not have access to internet, but they do have access to radio, and they do have access, and that is the only medium in which, in most places, even in Liberia, in the counties, in our communities, in the far-to-reach areas. Yeah,
with that, the trust, the faith that the population has in radio as the traditional means through which people get information, it means that that space will have to be preserved and not exploited to spew out the hate, misinformation, and undermine national security, national growth, and reconstruction.
Absolutely, I agree with you. However, it's going to be a tough thing, to be honest with you, to say, because there isn't a specific or a clear way in which to say we're going to protect this space. So, for example, what do I mean? Anyone can own a radio station. anyone with access to resources can say privately, they own a private, institution where they create their own content, they decide what content to put on their platform. However, what needs to happen, that's why you have the institutions that should be able to coordinate and manage and monitor these, institution. The fact that you're providing public information to people, there should be some safeguards. Yeah. Unfortunately, in our context, it's not there, especially so when you have radio stations that are owned by private individuals where people will decide the content. And sometimes, especially, and then there's this whole concept of censoring the media. So just finding the gray area between what does it mean for access to information or publication of free information to media censoring, and then what is the greater good for the country. Yeah. So there's still some challenges.
There's a thin line.
Exactly. So it's a challenge to say, we have this institution to be able to ensure that we monitor what content is put out, but also, people will say, why are you trying to tailor to muzzle the press? But besides muzzling the press, but like tailor our message, why are you censoring us in the fact of information? But at the end of the day, there needs to be some form of safeguards. What you can and cannot say on public radio, especially so you do not have the system where we track who are your listeners. Listeners can be all ages, all ages. So what content are you feeding our young people with? The children. Children do listen to radio, the music, for example. True. So if you just have like an open door policy on everything, it becomes challenging. And this is a conversation that needs to start happening so that we as a country, because even in some places, even though we have to be able to know the difference between what is censoring the media and what is controlling the media and what is a good process in which we can give information out to the public. And media owners need to be able to be comfortable with having this conversation so that we safeguard what's happening and what information our children and our population is consuming.
Sure, and we hope, these kinds of discussions are taking place in Tottenham, Bomi County today, where the official celebration is taking place. But let's come to the crux of the matter. So it's been a roller coaster for you. I've seen you've been very busy. I don't think you anticipated, coming to the job with going into something like this with the AFL, the Army wives protesting. It was a whole web, like I said, across the country. All of a sudden, the president was expected to go to the barracks. EBK cut it off. Held a meeting with his kitchen cabinet, released an address last evening. How did we get here?
Well, talking about your point of whether or not I anticipated, first of all, I'm a Liberian. I've been in this country for the longest. I understand our sector. I understand the areas in which our country have come, how long, and as a victim or survivor of the civil conflict. We've been through a lot, being a refugee, so all these, back and forth. We've been through those, tough periods. It may not be something that you will anticipate that from the get-go, but it's something that you always be prepared for. Because for our job, for my job, where I sit, I know it's one of the fastest paced jobs that you will ever have. Because things change every minute, as we, meet, if you're in a presidential space, as the head of the country, things happen. You have to be, on the radio. You have to be out there writing releases. You have to be communicating with media institutions. You have to be ready from the get-go. And this is something that I'm prepared for, and this is something that I'm excited about. But talking about the particular subject, in relations to the army. It's been a quite interesting, time. As we all know, this is not the first of its kind. If you follow Liberian history or the Liberian governance issues, you will know that the army wives, at some point, they were the army widows, and then consistency of protestation. And one of the other things is protest is a part of democracy. The fact that people can come out to express, their grievances, but within the confines of the law, that's what is important, that we need to keep educating our people, protestation is not a bad idea, but to what extent can you go to infringing on the rights of others? You're allowed to express your grievances. This shows that our democracy is maturing, that people can come out, and express what issues that they have. However, we have to be able to again communicate clearly as to where the lines should be.
Well, there is semblance of a breach.
Say that again.
Well, there is semblance of constitutional breach in the protest yesterday.
Well, it's open for people's interpretation of what it is, but absolutely, freedom of movement is a fundamental right guaranteed to all. Everyone is free to move about, so you infringing on someone's ability to move about is a form of, constitutional, violation. And so as you've asked, absolutely.
So what has the presidency or the executive mansion found out with regards to this whole AFL, the issues, reasons why they protested yesterday?
So, before today, the women, the wives, the wives of the armed forces of Liberia, they have been engaging. Even we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago. They came by the office.
After inauguration?
Yes, after inauguration. Okay. They came by, they had some issues as they've expressed, and they also reduced that into a petition on the day before the protest, when they were on the day of the protest, they actually came and had an engagement on Sunday with His Excellency the President and presented their petition. And the petition
that was before confirmation hearing.
That was after. That was after confirmation hearing.
So you didn't get a petition before confirmation?
No. So we had a meeting before confirmation hearing.
Okay.
They expressed their grievances, and they went around with the issues of their welfare, the challenges in the barracks, which of course I'm surprised that today
it turned out to be personal.
I'm surprised that today 2024 you still have issues of electricity, issues of water, housing, education, still an issue in the barracks. Because the reason I say this, my uncle used to be in the army. This is 1980 or thereabout, and he also said that those issues were the same. Those challenges of lack of services. So I was surprised to know that up to today, 2024, with the reform that have happened over the years in the security sector, with the retirement of older soldiers, with the reforming the army and bringing on new brains and new zest and new people. So I thought that those basic services wouldn't be an issue. So it was a little bit of a surprise that they still the women's day. And then when they kept saying some of these issues, then they went to the political issue, which was.
So which one was the core?
For them, that's what I'm coming to. So when they presented,
because as it happened, it turned out to be
the first meeting,
the issue of Prince Johnson.
The first meeting that we had, that I mentioned, that meeting was with. I was in the meeting. The Minister of State and other officials of the government were in that meeting when we had it at the foundation before the chief moved to the mansion. And the women came when they presented the issue. They talked a great deal about the services, the husbands not getting promotion. And in the first meeting, they said that they were doing this of their own volition. Okay. That they were the ones who were coming because they are feeling the brunt. Their husbands are not getting promotion, they pay cuts, and all these different issues. And then they
initial impression.
So, exactly. So they blamed it on the leadership at the time, without saying that this individual was the problem. Then later on, as they continue with the agitation, the protestation, and then when they came to have a meeting with the president, when they presented the petition, all of the issue now suddenly became, they had all those social issues, but the key issue there for them was the political question of requesting that His Excellency.
That was in the second meeting?
Yes, His Excellency. And this one was with His Excellency the President.
And that was when the issue of the appointment of Prince Johnson was coming up.
Right. That's when they said that, in fact, this time around, they said their husbands were the ones who sent them. So first they said they were doing it of their own volition. And then they came back and said that they're doing it, their husbands in the know, and their husbands send them to, to do that.
Okay.
So, and then they...
So essentially object the appointment
that they do not want
Prince
retired General Prince Johnson,
okay.
That they have issues, because at that time, at the conclusion of that meeting, the president immediately took some specific actions with relations to ensuring that electricity was restored in the barracks, and the tuition issue that they have with the school that's there, the Leonard Thomas Springfield School, it was made tuition free. So, but then the protestation action still continued. So it was like, well, then these social issues that you've mentioned may not have been like the underlying issue. So maybe the key one for them was issue of Mr. General, retired General Prince Johnson, but the chief was like, at the end of this, he's already been confirmed. So that question is not on the table from our end. It was non-negotiable.
Yeah, because your critics continue to say that you were aware of these women issue, the core of the issue, which is the appointment of Prince Johnson. Yet you didn't listen. You appointed him, and the Senate confirmed him. So,
like I said, in the first meeting, they never even made it seem as if...
So everybody took share of the blame here because the Senate confirmed. Now the president will appoint, but the Senate confirmed.
Right. So listen. So here's what we do not want to communicate. That today, your listeners, Barclays listeners, listen to him. They agree. Even your colleagues here. Then out of a sudden, maybe at the end of the day, you didn't give somebody water. Maybe you were coming that day to work. Your hair was hurting, or something else was happening to you because you didn't speak to your co-worker. They turn around and say, I can't speak to people.
So they capitalize on that.
So then they jump around and say, let's go tell the manager that we do not want Vafle, let's mobilize. And then they come and say, we do not want Vafle. Vafle is the problem. So for us, that is not the trend in which we was interested in. Of course, our interest was the issues, and the president has clearly made it very clear. The condition of our soldiers must be up to standards, must be met. The issues, the social services must be restored. So the question of, now sometimes you can have an individual but you still have those problems. And like I said, my uncle told me in the 80s, they had the same problem. So it tells you consistently, there have been leadership change. There have been, different leaders of the army, different leaders of the ministry. So, and these issues still lingered on in different forms, of course, obviously, because the times are different. So what does that tell you? It may not necessarily be an individual problem. It is a systematic problem. And as the president alluded to in his speech yesterday, that these are problems that our government, which is just under 30 days, inherited. So automatically those social services will not be, so maybe like you said, maybe their issue was, but it should have come, get go that we do not want this guy. But again, we do not want to get to a point where when your friends say they don't want you, then they take you from there. Every Liberian have an opportunity to serve the country. And these are people who have laid down their lives, laid down their families, put their family interests in the background, upheld the country's flag, represented the country at different times, in different places, upheld the army in a professional fashion. So if you come and say, we do not want this individual, you should be able to say, what did this individual do? How has he broken the law? And then when those issues are laid on the table, when they are discussed, when, under our law, you have to echo everyone due process. The due process, that they're able to get the day in court. When you accuse, they can just accuse you, Favle took this thing, then they say, okay, yeah, say Favle took it, Favle go, without investigating Favle. So from our end, from His Excellency's standpoint, the political question was not an issue. If they had come to say, we do not want Prince Johnson because Prince Johnson took our money, or you complain, because there's a whole system. There's a possibility of setting up an investigation, going through and then solving the problem. So
yeah, it was not an issue for the presidency or the executive mansion, but it was an issue for the AFL soldier wives, because I want to know, was there an assurance where say, okay, when this man resigned voluntarily or you dismiss him, we will leave the streets? Was there an assurance there?
So again, like I said,
because I still see a vague negotiation where they could come up again for welfare.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's their calling. And we have said consistently, because if they say, in fact, in that meeting, the president did mention that they asked the soldiers, because he also had a meeting with the soldiers after the women on the day when retired General Johnson tendered in his resignation. He had a meeting with the leadership of the different barracks, the chief of staff, and other army generals who were there, and he did ask them about whether they once sending their wives, and they alluded to that, and they said whether the issues will be okay. They said yes, once the men already left, our issues will be. So I would be surprised to see them coming back on the street, because they did say it in the meeting with His Excellency that, once General Johnson leaves, so I hope the Liberian people should remind them that they said that when this man leave. And the other thing about this whole conversation, Paple, is about General Johnson himself, because this was something that, from the end of His Excellency, that conversation was not even considered about asking him to resign, or,
So he had the support of the president.
Of course, the president has extraordinary confidence in him. That's why he was even appointed in the first place. That's why he was even retired from the army, because of his leadership ability, because the president saw that this man is able to, contribute to our security sector from the end of the Ministry of Defense. That's why he was appointed. And the fact that the president appoints individuals to these positions, he has exclusive confidence in them that they will execute his agenda on security, his agenda on all the different sectors that he invites people to come to serve their country. So he had exclusive confidence in him. That's why he was appointed.
So at what time did he say, okay, I have to go, I need to go?
So it's a question for General Johnson himself, because even me, anyone, for example, if you give your best, you've given your all to a sector that you clearly have done, and then all of a sudden your friends, your people who you work with, people who you lead, they just see you as the issue. They say you are the problem, you are causing this, you are doing it. Without pressure, even yourself, from your friends, even yourself, your family will be concerned about your own safety, your own health, because even if you insist on staying there, you may not get the support that you will need from the people you lead. So at the end of the day, you'll just be like,
because you can preside over chaos.
Exactly. Let me just give it in. So the whole thing is I see General Johnson as someone. This whole story about King Solomon. We do that in most of our different legal discussion. And the thing with the story of the baby, who has the baby? The two women, one was claiming that the baby is hers, the other one, the king said, okay, if this baby is for you, you're bringing it, so let's divide this baby into two and give each one half. The real mother of the baby was like, no, give the baby to her, let she take the baby because the baby would live. The other one, who was not the mother of the baby, was like, yeah, let's divide the baby, get the piece and get the baby, but what benefit was that a dead baby have? So it was that kind of situation for him, for General Johnson. So he saw the need that instead of me holding on and the safety, let it be. Let's hope that the army at this point, with such a coordination, that they can really see the army to be a force for good, to build the army, because our partners, our international partners, have invested so much into rebuilding our army. We know there are challenges. So how do we ensure that the leadership works on ensuring that the challenges are worked on? Our partners have supported. So that form of coordination, where they were able to mobilize, people in different parts of the country, we hope that seamlessness can be asserted, to building a very strong, credible, loyal army, loyalty to the state. That's what is important.
So what is the commitment from the president that, despite his appointee being made to resign, that the welfare issue will be addressed still?
Well, like I said, even you listen to him in his speech, he has said consistently that the army is an institution that we must build, and those issues of welfare needs to be taken care of like yesterday. That's why even before we even got to a point where he even spoke, he had taken decisions. I mentioned on the restoration of electricity. I also mentioned on the lifting of tuition payment. Now the school there is free, you know, for people who are members of the armed forces of Liberia. So I mean, absolutely, this president is committed, and he also mentioned one thing that we should all remember, or we should all see that this is true, is the fact that these challenges that the army are going through is not only unique to the army. It's in many sectors. The health sector, for example, the educational sector, for example. So these challenges cut across many sectors of our country, and the way to address them is not going to happen one day it's not going to happen just one day. Rome was never built in a day, so it will take some time. So it will spread across different sectors. It's little by little. It's a small meeting big, right?
Okay.
Small little drops full of buckets.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, you're listening to the Super Morning Show on ELBC Radio. With me, Fafle Kamara. We have Madam Kula Fofana, Presidential Press Secretary here. Madam Fofana, just as much as we've been made to understand that the protest was all about getting rid of Prince Johnson, skeptics are concerned that if the president actually has the grip over the military as the commander-in-chief.
I can tell you, like, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Liberia, and he has control over the country as a president. He has control over the army, and for him, he's a very, I mean, Liberia, to be honest, Fabio, between you and me, and I mean, despite of this conversation we're having on air, but being closer to His Excellency, seeing him as an individual beyond just a title, he's a very wise person. He's a person who, when you have an opportunity to engage with him, to see him, you learn every given day. You can be having a very serious security discussion or something very serious of that nature, and you will give some, you know, information in the joke form, and everybody will be laughing. But there's lesson in all of his, you know, conversation that we've had. And yes, he is someone. So the point of this whole conversation is that he is not someone who will just rush the decision to just say, oh yeah, okay, this is it, let's do this. He looks and he takes counsel from everyone. He listens to all of our different views that will be best for the public good, a decision that will be best for the generality. So talking about control, of course, he definitely has control over the army, and that is why you saw after the decision that he took, you saw that there were free movement. The army people, the wives went back to their homes. They opened the roads, and things were clear, you know, because he is a wise man, because he has control, because they will listen to him. That is from that, you know, nature that he does. And this is not just for the army, it's from all sectors. So you're not just gonna see a leader who will just come and say, okay, let's do this, let's do not rush. He wants to make sure he covers all the bases, speaks to me so that he can speak to everyone, and then makes his decision from his own perspective.
So tell us about the investigative committee to probe into the matter. And if, for instance, it is the allegations as per the narrative from the women, if these allegations are true against the former defense minister, will there be prosecution? Will the law take its course? Are we going to see the reappointment of Prince Johnson in another sector? I mean, tell us about the outcome, the investigation, the term of reference of this investigative committee, and what happens with the findings.
So, like I said, our president is someone who makes decisions from a wise perspective. So I wouldn't preempt what the recommendations from the committee will be. So he's going to, once the committee is consolidated. I mean, you've already spoken about the reactivation of the reconstitution of the board of inquiry that he has activated. Also, the appointment of the committee of investigators. So it's going to be a panel of people, people with security background, to understand all of the different issues that have come up. And his interest is to dig deeper into just knowing what are the key and core issues, so that he can, start to solve some of those problems that he have already started solving. And once that is done, the committee will report, as you have heard. The committee is giving a period of 2 weeks.
It starts when?
The 2 weeks period immediately as he's spoken. So to review all of the issues. So at the conclusion of their work, they will report to His Excellency, and he will review their report, their recommendation, and then he will take action. So I wouldn't say that these will be the actions and blah blah blah.
So in the interim, do we see Prince Johnson being appointed?
I can say he also, if you listen to him, he also, expressed confidence in him, called him a great patriot. And I think for me, that is by far one of the best. So, I don't know what the future holds for retired General
Is
Johnson.
Prince Johnson mad? Is he angry? Is he trying to will he retaliate? Is he thinking about that he's been hurt by people who don't like him?
I think it's a conversation you need to have with Prince Johnson himself. I wouldn't say, but from our interaction, I think he's a very. I've not known him for a long time. I've known of him prior to this role. I've heard good things about him. Even talking about, the way as an army general, when he was still chief of staff of the army, he normally will ride as normal passengers, in the traffic, unlike some of our officials that will take the turn lane and start moving. So I've heard good things outside of our engagement. So, but between the course of our work in this short period, it's been a cordial relationship, and I see his comportment. I have now, like I said, I can't speak from what I've seen. And those questions of how he feels, I think he's okay. He's gonna be okay. He's a soldier. Once a soldier, always a soldier. And I wanted to be a soldier, a military person. Unfortunately, the opportunities were not given at the time. But from my little understanding of military work, you are built from the get-go, and to be able to excel at the level in which he did, that I believe. When things happen, anybody as human, you have that moment of thinking, what did I do? Or, especially with the different things that happen with your colleagues and this and that. But at the end of the day, as a human, he's going to be okay. At the end of the day, I know. Okay. Plus or minus, I know he's going to be okay.
So the deputy now is the acting defense minister. Do we expect a semblance of stability in the military, administratively, and all that? Do we hope for that?
Of course, that's our hope. We as the government, from what we said, we hope that all of the different sectors, everyone who's been appointed to position, will do their job. Just do your job. You don't have to come and be in the face of the president if there's no need to. Do your job, improve your sector. If you're in the military, do your job as a military officer. If you're in the army, do your job. If you're in defense, do your job. Go to workshop on time. Do your job. We know it's challenging. Many places, like the system that we met, we know some places there are no vehicles. There are places there are no computers to work from, but the sacrifices, as we know, it's going to get better as we go along. But just commit as officials of government, even if you're not official, as a civil servant, from the top to the bottom, you will do well for the president by doing your job, not by showing up to his office every second, not by calling him, not by just do your part, contribute a portion to the development agenda, to the plan, to the 100-day deliverable, to the 150-day deliverable, to the 200-day deliverable, onto the first year deliverable. If your duty is to ensure that we have water in places, what the challenges are, make those requests. What you have, use what you have. And
people are concerned about the snail pace in the formation of the government. As we speak, I bet the government is not half completed.
I mean, majority of the ministries and agencies.
You have bulk of the local government positions still vacant.
Yeah, but that is going to happen again.
You have not appointed ambassadors.
Again, in fact, the ambassadors, you may not have appointed ambassadors, but if you look in the foreign, service system, there are ways in which the ambassadors are still holding on. Other places they have chargé affairs, people who were not appointed by the president. All those, every institution have that line of succession. So by that, the line of succession should take a course, and the government will be formed. Again, government cannot be formed. Like I said, today is day 22. You can just come day one. You put everyone. That's how they say in Liberia. We say hurry, hurry, boss strasser, right? You just hurry. You say don't run council, this, that council. When you look, then you go to a backfire.
What is the kind of care that's been taken?
Well, like I said, our president is a wise man. Our president is a wise man, and he is bringing on board people who he has exclusive confidence in. Yes, people will recommend people, and when you recommend, they'll say, okay, let's see, what is this person? What does he bring? How can he contribute to the betterment of this sector? Those kinds of conversation. So he's not just goes, okay, son, you go to Minister of that. This person, go to this other ministry. That person, So the point is to be able to be meticulous. I know no system is perfect. Even with his care he's taking to appoint people, at the end of the day, there will still be issues with nomination, as we've seen. But again, at the end of the day, we want to be able to make, even if not 100% good decision or 100% decision that will satisfy everybody, but at least to an extent that these people that he's bringing on board can contribute positively to the development of their sector and to ensure that the country moves ahead.
When is the next meeting with the Army Wives?
When is the next meeting with the Army Wives?
Yeah.
The committee, like we mentioned,
the committee
will take over the next course of action once the investigation is done. Recommendations made, and then the team will continue the work from there.
Okay, so you can call us now on 080-514-096, 080-514-096, better still, 770-58-1886, 077-058-1886, or 080-514-096. We're in conversation with Presidential Press Secretary Madam Kula Fofana right here on the Super Morning Show. With me, Vafli Kamara. Let's see if we can take our first call. Good morning. Good morning. Let's hear you, sir.
All of these discussions center around president's appointments and whatsoever, we need to be trained and act the Liberians that we should take heed, because all of these things center around accusation of the military, women, husband, wife, taking on strength within the city, and intervening care, and those are things that were just looking and never engaged themselves into it to escalate this thing. I think it was thankful to them too. And then so they got to be very much careful that as government making appointments towards these things for tomorrow, the betterment of the future, that things shouldn't be escalated.
Okay.
Two, the president make an appointment for Prince Johnson to be defense. It was not a mistake, and the confirmation of Prince Johnson by the Senate, it was not a mistake, but it was just disagreement with the wife of the army.
Okay. Okay. Let's hold you there. We have other people on the line. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, leave from the radio and speak out loud. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How is morning?
I'm fine. What's the name?
Robert Mako, and I'm calling from District 17. And let me say good morning to my daughter, Kula. I listen to you. You sound so fine, and the job is at your fingertip. Let me say thank you so much this morning. Going back to what we are discussing, I was somehow disappointed yesterday. I must admit, I should come down out of the car in Douala Red Corway Junction. I saw full lady, two on the other side. You know when you get the Corway, they all roll on the other side, they all one on the other side. You see, full lady, two on the side, and everyone was sitting down there, right on the car. Then a policeman was coming on the motorbike. Really went and stood in front of the motorbike. She wouldn't talk. She just showed her hand to the man to turn and go right by, and that was what it was. So I said, I thought this man is a policeman. Even the some people like us, we are not important to these military people. We are nothing but useless people. But this man is a policeman. Why can't they allow this man to go? But I want to make that policeman to turn to go back. And people are saying that what they did, it was their right. We call them first-class citizen. You can agree with me. We call the military first-class citizen. Is this how they're going to address the issue? By going or obstructing other people's movement? Making us to not do our business yesterday? Putting us, all day going with hunger? Then you come and say, well, this was the right thing. Anyway, let me say thank you to the president because he took a very wise decision, and to that of the General Brent Johnson. You are a man of God. You have this from your heart. That is why you never want to. You turn evil to good. Actually, you turn evil to good.
Okay.
If the police were insulting the police, so even that would mean the medical was standing by. They were just standing to hear what would come from anywhere concerning their wife. That's the time you see. You know the rep of the army.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Let's hear from this person. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. What's your name?
I'm calling from the borough of Newtown. This is Georgia K. Bayo.
Let's hear you.
President of the Television of Borough Women.
Let's hear you.
I would like to say thanks for all. Let me say, His Excellency Joseph Baka, thank you for the media appointment of that of Jeremy George. And I also want to thank you for that appointment. And for your studio guests, Kula Fofana, I say it is overwhelming to have a young female like you to serve in that capacity as the press secretary of the president. You have taken it by surprise that you can exhibit and you explain to the soldiers that we as women will be able to understand. I say keep on the good work. May God bless you. And I also want to give this message to the president that he should make this government gender balanced.
Okay.
This government should be gender balanced.
Okay, thank you.
The president as a woman, a choice of a kind.
Okay.
This government will be gender balanced.
All right, thank you. Let's hear from this person. Morning.
Good morning, Kamara.
Good morning.
Bruce. I'm from Liberia.
Let's hear you, Mr. Bruce.
My brother, until we can become back in this country, and people that are not having some of our problems, we always have issues in this country. We always trade.
Hello? Oh, sorry, we lost you. Let me hear from this person. Good morning. Morning.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. My name is Mohammed. I'm calling from
Yeah, let's hear you, sir.
So, let's say thank you to Kula Fofana in the studio. We want to say thank you for the so something in this time. And for the encourage, just starting, we hope it will continue because we want our responsible government to take care of every matter that is at hand. So, thank you so much. This kind of challenge is police for Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's take two more calls and go back to our guest this morning. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. What's the name? Yeah, let's hear you.
My concern is what the army did yesterday, we should also be fair to the police. The police is down at them, but because we are public servants, we have stress. So that investigation are also going to the police. So the police are going to suppress. People getting them with all have to drive it, they suppress. The bread is brought back. We are giving the future of the police. Thank you.
Thank you. What are you police? You own police, we hear you. Good morning. Everybody got a problem. Yeah.
Good morning to your student girls and greetings to everyone following your broadcast. My name is Steven Tesco, and I'm on the conversation this morning. I'm one of the presidents to a lot of them were asking me community. You see, the government really needs to talk about this effort in ensuring that this state is safe and peaceful. People movements were embarrassed, were hampered yesterday. There are people who were using the National Road to get to the airport. They did not catch up with their flight, they get their flight and all of it. And it's because this government failed to go the first. They said they did one supposed to go first, they did it last.
What is the first?
The first thing is, when this man was nominated, people in conversation, there was one more comment about this, that the people, the rights of our many are issue with the nomination. That you have negotiated about it, so as to say all the environment that is on yesterday.
Okay.
That's wrong.
Okay. Let's hear from this person. Morning. Sorry, we lost you. But call us on. We can take one more call and go back to our guest this morning. We can take a call right here. Morning. What's the name? Oh, your line is bad, so we will not continue with you. Morning. Morning. Yeah, quickly.
Appreciate the this morning for the learned conversation. I think yes, we do an explanation that she has made a comment, that she has made a topic. We appreciate President that we get someone confident that we will
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, Madam Press Secretary, you listen to the callers. I think people are yet to get the fact that you said that the grievances presented to you earlier on, there was nothing inside personal with the general, the retired general, but it was, the someone sorted afterwards in the second meeting. So just reiterate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, firstly, let me commend all of the callers for their calls, but most especially for their commendation, for their sentiments that they've expressed. For me, I take this role as something that we need to be able to inform the public. As when I was here last time, I told you my goal is to ensure that at least 80% of our country knows exactly the workings of His Excellency the President. So whatever I can do, in whatever ways we can educate and inform our people on the workings of the presidency is what we want to do. Because information is powerful. Sometimes if people do not know what's happening, then you leave room for speculation and all of that. So this is something that we are committed to, and we will continue to do our best. To our interview calls from Newtown talking about the gender balance. I will share a message with His Excellency. I say, what they want is government to be gender balanced. But I'm sure, and the good thing about this whole conversation is that the president has received commendation from people outside of the Liberian system. So, for example, international partners like, Mr. President, you're big in women. They're very good, Your women. I heard commendation from, for example, the ECOWAS. I hope she won't have a problem with me putting up on the class. But, for example, the ECOWAS ambassador was like, Mr. President, I'm very proud. Your women who you've put forward for confirmation, from these different ministries and agencies, they're very good. They're very smart. They come with all the ideas, for example, education, health, foreign affairs, and all these women. We're very proud of the decision. And then he can say, your women are not dying. But more women, so I would again re-emphasize a message. In fact, come just to piggyback. So one time we were having a conversation around the same gender issue. And then when we mentioned that, Chief, you got to get more women, he said, he said there was a story that women, quote unquote, women can be satisfied. So all the women are put out there, there was this day, there was this guy that said he said, I want you to build a bridge from one end of certain river he mentioned to another, and which was I want to build like a 2-lane bridge from one place, from one country to another country. Then he said, the other request is too hard, man, it's too hard. I don't think. Then they said, okay, find another request. He said that one is difficult. He said, find another request. He said, okay, I want you to help me understand the minds of a women. He said, okay, how many lean you want for the bridge? How do you solve, the easier problems? What are the issues of the police? Come to the table, solve those problems. And one of the things the chief also will want his leaders to do, these people in the different sectors, the heads of different sectors, have engagement with their people, have engagement with the staff, understand what the issues are, work around those things that you can work on, the ones that are challenging and difficult, find, solutions and engage with them. And for us, that's the most important part.
Somebody asking whether CSO, the civil society, will be part of the investigative committee.
I can say it's something I'll follow up. I will follow up with that and then get the information out to the CSO team over there. Okay. I think so far those are the issues. And then somebody talked about the situation in Douala yesterday with the someone who put the police down. At the end of the day, when you have this kind of contention, and issues where people are all over, sometimes these little things happen, and you anticipate that people will be human, despite the fact of expressing their grievances. When you see a police officer, you see a nurse, you see a doctor, you see a pregnant woman, you see, people who need help or people who are going to provide help, servicemen and women, it will be important to just give them access. What would it mean? You don't know, maybe the people fighting the community, the police was trying to go there, or somebody needed police intervention or something, and you turn the police back. So those are some form of education, like we were talking about, bringing this whole conversation back to World Radio Day. This is where, we can use the radio for good, in educating people. Even if you have grievances, when police intervene, listen to the police. Do not come and say, I'm going to fight the police. All those kinds of things. And again, thank you for having us. I look forward to engaging with you as often as you would like, as often as time permits. Thanks to ELBC and the rest of the team that are relaying this, the executive mansion team that have been really working very hard in the last couple of weeks since we took over. I want to thank my team, but also the rest of the people who are working around the presidency and the government. Yeah, the community radio people. The community radio people, yes, relaying those different.
Especially yesterday, the message was spread across. I personally sent a few of my contacts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's important. Thank you for all of what you do. And happy World Radio Day. Let's use the radio for force for good.
Thank you. She's the press secretary, Madam Kula Fofana, being my guest here on the Super Morning.